Welcome into the Morning Glory Show. I am your host, as always, Jake Robertson. Filled in with my perfect, wonderful co-host, as always, Jonathan Miller at Esports Valen and B-Will at B-Will TFTV and TFTV Sports. You can follow me at Glory Days Sports on all channels. Make sure you go over to YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you're on Twitter, make sure you like, subscribe, send it to a friend, do us a favor, and join the Glory Holes. And you guys have been blowing it up in these last couple weeks. We're in the down period of the off season, and we're setting records out here. We're doing big things at the Morning Glory Show podcast. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing over there. But how are we doing today, boys?
Oh, great, man. Summertime. Sundresses are out. Hey, man, Broadway. I seen Levis on Broadway. How we feel about him embracing the city, man? He's embracing it.
Man, it's good. It's good to see a young man, new franchise quarterback just leaning into the city, man. But yeah, things are going good. It is the dark times of content season. It is post OTAs, pre-training camp. This is like players are vacationing, everyone's just outside having a good time. It's cool, but like for content it's tough. So hopefully we can bring some thought-provoking, entertaining content to you guys.
Yeah, the vibes are immaculate as always. B-Will missed last week because he was running the city over there, which is where he ran into Levis and all them over there.
Right
but
on Broadway,
we wanted to kick off the show today because we were in a deep debate, which caused us to be a few minutes late, and we apologize about that. We were talking about the Hot Read podcast, Easton Freeze, JT Runke over there. They were doing their positional breakdowns of the AFC South over there, and we were getting deep into these wide receivers, and I think we agreed on all of them except for one, and that was between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, we've talked about many times of the receiver core that they've built, and this might be the best receiving core that the Titans since in Nashville have ever had, with Tyler Boyd, Nick Hopkins, and then we got Traylon Burks. We're building it in Calvin Ridley. But Jonathan, you can't forget it about NWI and the second coming of grace himself, Jaquan Jackson. Jonathan,
forget.
How do you break down this AFC South receiving cores, specifically between the Titans and the Colts? We'll start there.
Sure. Yeah, it seems to be, maybe I'm alongside consensus for Titans fandom. I don't know. But what I let me just first preface by saying this. I think that all four of the receiving cores for the AFC South are pretty talented, at least in the top three. Obviously, the Jags are looking a little barren given the movement that's happened on their roster. But for the Colts and the Titans, I like the Colts wide receiver core. And I think if I had to rank them holistically, like for their entire roster, and projecting the 6 or 7 they may keep, right? For the Colts, it'll probably be 6. For the Titans, it's maybe 7 potentially. But if I had to rank them, I would give the Colts the nod as a whole, right? I think that they have some pretty really good talent from top to bottom. But
over Houston?
No, Houston's the best core in the AFC South. I'm just talking about Tennessee versus Indy. Yeah, I would give them the nod holistically, but I like the Titans top 3 over the Colts, and I think it rivals the Texans top 3. If you're just ranking the top 3, we're talking about Nuke, we're talking about Calvin, and we're talking about Tyler Boyd. Talent-wise, what they've done in their career, I mean, from top to bottom, it's there. Like, I like Michael Pittman, obviously, is a great receiver. We'll see if he can kind of carry over the success he had over the past 2 seasons into this one. And then, of course, like Josh Downs, we love what he's done. He was great in college. He was great in his rookie season as well. And AD, I was a big fan of AD. I wanted the Titans to draft AD. Love AD. Not sure what he's going to be quite yet, right? And if he fills a role on the offense that's different than what Michael Pittman Jr. is going to fill. I'm not confident that those are going to be the 3 guys on 3 receiver sets, to be completely honest with you. Could be wrong, but I would, if it were just a top 3, like a starting 3 versus, then I'm putting the Titans second in the AFC South over the Colts, slightly, not in a major way, but I think, that could change halfway through the season. We'll see what AD is made of, if he's as advertised, if he carries that over. The success he had in the playoff with Texas. But we'll see. I'm not confident that's necessarily the three they're rolling out in most packages.
Man, I'll tell you, me and Jake were talking about this before the show, but teams are going to defend us, and they're going to disrespect us.
Of course.
They're going to disrespect us. They're going to play press man, and they're going to say beat us. And I don't think we're going to beat many DB groups like that, to be honest. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see, Hopkins struggled a little bit with press man. Ridley struggled a little bit last year with press man. The only person that don't struggle against press man is, Boyd-ish. Maybe Westbrook-Akina on his day. I'm trolling with Westbrook-Akina.
Do we?
But it's just tough, man. We don't have any dynamism in the team. That's the problem. We got to be perfect.
I think Ridley is that person, though. He was one of the best separators in the NFL last year. So you're talking about press man.
Not against press man though.
Well, a lot of those numbers went against Legarius, who was the best press man cover, corner in the league.
Yep.
Like that.
I think Ridley had like 6 for 54 or something against Ridley or against Sneed. Let's not act like he.
Jake, I am curious to see what the stats were on because I saw something. So the account, what's the name? It's something separation. I'm forgetting the first part of it. Perception separation or something like that.
Perception reception. Yeah.
Perception reception. So perception reception released those numbers of like separation and Calvin was like a top 4 receiver last year in separation. Not saying that that's against press man. I don't know that that's the case. It could have been
that's
in total, right? Total different routes, but he was very, very good in press coverage. Like and by the way, be well, even if that's the case, that's one guy, right? So, the Titans are going to have to overcome when it comes to, and that's what they've, in certain situations last year, that's what D-Hop had to deal with. And that core was not separating.
No, I just think with us though, is that teams know our 3 guys are zone beaters. Like we've got veteran guys that are going to find the holes in zone coverages and annihilate people. We can do that. That's a strength that we have. But why would defenses play into that strength when the other side of that coin is somewhat of a weakness for us? You know what I mean? For me, I'm taking the Colts receiving core over the Titans receiving core because of that, because they offer you a little more offensively. We don't have guys that'll just go out there and just beat a number 1 corner. We don't. We'll have guys that'll find holes in zone coverages, stuff of that nature, and that'll make us have to be a little more perfect. Levis will have to be perfect. Levis will have to throw into tighter windows. It's not as easy and conducive to a young quarterback as it can be if you got just dogs out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my thing. But even if you put them in, and it was more than just, we can talk about the receivers, but it was really the Colts offense versus Titans offense. Which one would Levis succeed in more? And I don't know if people want to hear the answer to that question either.
Well, but until we see what's going on this year with Callahan, that answer is very easy. It's simple. It's the Colts offense. Steichen.
Oh, okay. I was making sure. I never know what you, Jonathan. Hey man, you can go off the rails sometime.
I don't know. No, I think I've been pretty agreeable this morning, at least. Yeah,
you've been good this morning.
The Steichen offense was great last year, and I think that if Levis found himself in that Colts, if Levis was 4th overall instead of Richardson, I think that we would probably be talking about a pretty dynamic young offense that has a chance to pop. But we'll see. I'm optimistic about the Callahan offense. I'm optimistic about what Callahan can do with Levis. And, I know that that's a topic for us this morning, so I'll wait to dive too far in. But yeah, I think that there's a good chance that we can see, and I think we're all optimistic, like Titans, Twitter, Titans community in general. But yeah, I think the Colts are, they might have the highest floor of the league. Like I don't know what their ceiling is going to be. And I think nobody can really know that because of Richardson's health, but they have a really high floor. And if you're a Colts fan, you should be pretty, at the least, you should be like, okay, like we're going to compete even if we have to bring Gardner Minshew out there. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
and they got Flacco this time. So he did pretty good last year.
Jake, what are you thinking? You don't just straddle the fence now.
No. So I lean with B Will, and I think I would have leaned with Jonathan up until yesterday when I was really just looking at it in a whole concept. When Levis was the pinnacle in college football is when he had a receiver by Wan'Dale Robinson. I see Josh Downs very similar to that, but a hyped up version of that. And Michael Pittman has been perennially underrated his entire career, just got paid slightly. So I think he's going to fit well into there. And then A.D. Mitchell, I mean, we'll see what he is, but he's more tweaked up than the homeless out on Broadway right now. He's got what it takes. So I'd be really, as a whole, I prefer the Colts offensive receiving core. When we add in these running backs in the receiving game, the tight ends, I think overall it might lead towards the Titans. But we were just looking at those top three. I would prefer the Colts over the Titans. But then that brings us into our main topic of today is what can Callahan and co. do to elevate Levis to the next level? And like you guys were talking about already, I see, and I'm watching a lot of this Bengals tape with what's the backup quarterback? It's Jake Browning. With Jake Browning. That's going to be the offensive system, I think, that's going to look more similar to what the Titans are going to look like very early on as he progresses with this. And I think one of the biggest things is when I'm watching this tape, Browning's getting bailed out a lot of times just from Higgins and Jamar Chase, just beating their man and getting open deep on the 9 routes, whatever it might be. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd are capable of that. I think Calvin Ridley can maybe turn into that. But like you were alluding to, I think he did struggle with press coverage. That was the biggest thing. So I think maybe the most important thing of getting Levis comfortable early is just getting Ridley on the move pre-snap. Getting him off of that press, moving it into a trips alignment, specifically like a bunch, getting him off the line of scrimmage, not allowing somebody to get in his grill and press him at the line of scrimmage. I think that's going to be something that we see a lot of, and we're going to see these jet motions across. He's going to move from the outside inside. That's what I think is going to be one of the biggest things that I'm going to be watching for early. And then going back to people are going to play man against us. That's just what it is. We don't have these man beaters outside of Ridley, in my opinion. I think training camp more than ever, usually, I'll be paying attention to those Jim Wyatt reports of who won the day. Just because we know Denard Wilson's going to go out there and go, hey, we're pressing you every fucking play, get in their face. We've got those dogs out there. We're going to come out with that come get some bitch mentality, and then we're going to go from there. So those are the one thing that really stood out very early for me. What do you guys think on just how we can improve how Levis gets comfortable early on so we can find success on offense more than we have in the past?
Man, I think Callahan is just going to have to be – there's two things that he's going to have to be. He's going to have to be less static pre-snap, like you said, and then he's also going to have to be really creative with how he gets these receivers. You know, we can't just line up and beat guys. We don't have that type of receiving core right now. Now, Hopkins, like on third down last year, we lined him up in the backfield a little bit, and we found a lot of success doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? So Hopkins finding him, motioning him around. I think Hopkins is a guy that's going to have to move a lot instead of Ridley, but I don't think it'll happen. I think Hopkins will be the X guy on the end of the line of scrimmage, unfortunately. Boyd will probably be the guy that is moving around a lot. But you know, if we're able to find a way to do that with Hopkins, that's why Burks is so important, man, because he opens up the thing he opens up the offense for everybody else. If he's able to be that X receiver, that allows Hopkins to float in that sort of Boydish role, and then Ridley is on the outside on the other side. That'll really set us up for success. But honestly, besides the scheme and everything, I think the Titans have done pretty much all they can for Will Levis to get him in the position of where we can properly evaluate him too. So, you know, kudos to Rand Carthon for that, for giving Levis an opportunity this year. But back to Callahan. I mean, I think Pollard is going to help a lot. Spears is going to help a lot. Levis has to get comfortable in the short passing game, and that'll sort of tamper down his temperament, as we've talked about, you know, a lot on this show in the morning time, is that Levis' temperament is going to be what holds him back potentially. Him being too aggressive, him trying to, you know, be like 2004 Brett Favre. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't need that. Now, he needs to play within the confines of the system. He needs to sprinkle his arm strength when needed in the system, but a lot of times it's going to be these short throws, get it out to our playmakers, whether that's Spears, Pollard, or, short gains through the receivers and do what they need to do. That's what it's going to be. But to really put Levis in the seat of success, Callahan is going to have to he's going to have to call exceptional games, man. He's going to have to with the state of this receiving core after the catch wise.
Yeah, I think what's going to be, the biggest jump for Levis is just in his efficiency, right? And that's exactly what Callahan said going into the job. And what he's alluded to in some of these interviews that he's done is he's saying, it starts with rhythm, and it starts with getting into rhythm, getting some short, successful plays, and then starting to stack those. We know that was the opposite of what the Titans offense was for the past several years, where it was get some, runs going, get Derrick Henry going, first down run, second down, 2 or 3 yard run. And it's like, okay, now you find yourself in 3rd and long, or second down penalty. And now you find yourself in 3rd and long. So being able to get those short, quick, bursty plays, getting it out to the flat, finding the zone beaters for the 4, 5, 6 yard catches, and just giving him some efficient, just, get in rhythm. And then open up the playbook and allow you to take those shots. That's going to be big. The one thing that is positive, so I have the reception perception for Calvin Ridley in front of me now. I found it. And so his man, so just a quick cover here. His man coverage success rate was just shy of 72%. His zone coverage success rate was right at 80%. But where Ridley shined is in just his overall route tree. His overall route tree, he was over 80% on almost all but 3, it looks like, routes. And so he had a lot of success running a large route tree, which obviously
and they tapered him a little bit. They didn't even really let him
They
do
definitely
it,
did.
Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah. So I think, my thought here is that I think when you put the Titans receiver group against others, it's really easy to go in the other direction. But the one thing that I think, just again, to play the, optimistic side of devil's advocate, I suppose, is that there's a lot of weapons that can create plays from nothing. And so, yes, you need to be able to beat man coverage at the end of the day. 100% has to happen. We watched the Dolphins, just their offense get crippled because they couldn't beat man coverage in the playoffs. So it's really important that they can do that. So for me, for Will Levis's success, I think it all boils down to, can he adapt and be the pocket passing, efficiency first quarterback that has big arm talent to win you the game? Can he become that? Can he process through his reads? Can he be smarter than the defense? And I think that the two things that he struggled with the most last year, we're already seeing pretty big improvement from that. The one thing we haven't seen yet, though, is how he's going to process through, read what the defense is giving him, take the easy plays when he needs to, and become a more efficient quarterback, because that's desperately what he needs for his game to elevate. And I think Callahan is the right person to help him do that.
Isn't that crazy? A guy like Levis has to do less to elevate.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's what you want.
No doubt.
It's positive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with everything that everybody said. I think just getting more efficient in the red zone as well will be very, very beneficial for Levis. The Titans just haven't been good at scoring points. That's what it's been the last couple of seasons. And then looking back at the success that these two teams have had, the Titans in 2022 were very successful in the red zone with Derrick Henry, and that's just how it played out. And the Bengals, I believe they were one spot behind them in efficiency. And then come last year, the Bengals were still in the top 10 for 2 years in a row, and the Titans absolutely fell off. So I will be interested to see what the scheme looks like when we get down there and we're getting closer in and these things become compacted. And something that's been standing out to me is once the Titans got in the red zone, we're getting we're getting compacted. We're handed it to Derrick Henry, and we might try to suck you in and then run a play action off that. We might have 3-4 tight ends out there. But looking at what the Bengals do, they're running gun regardless. They don't give a where they are. And there was times out there where they have Chase and Boyd out there on the perimeter. They might have 2 tight ends, which that was another thing. We're going to see Wiley and Chig and Vanette out there a lot more than what the media is talking about. There was times where all three tight ends were out there. Didn't matter regardless of what down and distance it was. There was times where they had a tight end in the backfield and Mixon and Chase Brown were on the sidelines. So they're definitely going to utilize that. I don't know where this concept of Callahan doesn't utilize tight ends has come from, but it's gotten over the top. But there was times where they get in the red zone. They have these 2s flanked out to the right, and there would be 3 defenders covering them just because they're worried about that, which opened up the lane for a Mixon or Chase Brown to punch it in. So we're to run it in the red zone, but they're not afraid to open up the playbook even when it gets compacted down there. So that was one thing that really stood out to me, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that coming forward from there. And then just when I think about Levis and what he does well, he's got Elon Musk is reverse engineering that man's shoulder for his next rocket. He's got a cannon out there. So I want to, but his progression reading, I want to say it's inconsistent at best. There's times where we've seen it, even going back to Kentucky, where he can move 1, 2, 3, 4, and then find the check down. But last season, there was far too many times where he just dialed in on Hopkins, and that may have been primarily because that's the only receiver he had, but he would dial into one guy and he wouldn't move off of that. So I want to see a lot of concepts where we get these players lined up on the same side of the scrimmage. That way I can just go boom, boom, boom. We're not having to reset, move to the other side of the field, regardless of those things. That way we can be aggressive down the field. And seeing these flood concepts, that was something Jake Browning can't do. He can't fire into a zone because he just doesn't have the arm talent to beat cover 2 and all these other coverages. Will Levis can. He can be on the far side of the hash and throw it to the far other side of the hash on a whim. So this is something that I think is really going to benefit the Titans this season. And it's something they haven't had with Tannehill either. I mean, he was very accurate down the field. And I would say he's more accurate than Levis is now down the field, but he's just lacking the overall talent to do it on a consistent basis. So those are something that really just stood out to me. And then,
because,
we're going to see a lot of them.
Callahan himself subscribes to the Peyton Manning thought of, way of running an offense, sort of air radius type thing. And Peyton has always had a tight end safety valve that he could rely on, whether that was Dallas Clark before or even Julius Thomas in his time in Denver. He always had a tight end that he could rely on and sort of operate as a safety valve underneath. So, it ain't bad, and I don't think Chig can be that safety valve though. I think that's be more of Wiley, and that's why we've heard a lot about Wiley, coming out because he fits that mold of a pass catching, bigger body tight end.
Yeah, that's a great point down there by Stoney, man. That's kind of what I was going to say about the conversation we were having about 3 receiver deep and how you kind of rank those. If we're getting 3-man pressed for the top 3 DBs for most of the league, somebody's beating man coverage. Is whether it's Tyler, whether it's Calvin, whether it's D-Hop. D-Hop had an okay, he didn't get torched by, he had some good reps in press. He had plenty of reps that weren't great, but so I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for Will to improve in some of the technical ways. We're already kind of seeing that with like his footwork and some of the extra work he's doing with quarterback specialists to kind of help him tighten up his technique. It looks like he's working on his release just in terms of like where he's actually releasing the ball, which is probably that was definitely one of his strengths. But it looks like he's doing something a little different there as well. So technically he's kind of improving his game, but where I would like to see him improve is seeing the whole field and not needing to just stare down that read. And like you guys said, it probably was like a get D-Hop the ball or else type of vibe last year in many ways, minus Chris Moore. Chris Moore was really efficient with the targets he got. But yeah, I now that I think there is a more diverse skill group on the offense, it should be easier in theory for Will to just do that. Like he should be able to progress through and be like, oh, Tony Pollard in the flat and he's got 5 yards of separation. Like, boom, this is going to be a 5 or 6 yard play. I mean, Callahan even called it, one of the reads he missed last year, it was like a dump off to Chig. He was like, that would have been a 20-yard gain by Chig. And he's right. It probably would have been. So that's the one part of quarterbacking that was important for Will. And I think that they were offensively, they were playing with their hair on fire so frequently that it was like, okay, efficiency is out the door. Like, get the ball to your playmaker. Do what you can to get the ball out. And so with a better offense, with a better offensive scheme, with a more balanced and modern run game, things should be all pointing up for Will, but he's got to put it together. And that's probably the most fascinating storyline going into this season. All the other things are interesting. The new coaching staff, the new scheme, the new receivers, all these different things. But really what it's about is, can Will Levis put it together? And we should know that this season for sure.
Levis was fighting for his life.
He was.
So hopefully that's gonna change for him too. He's gonna have his offensive line is gonna be a bit better this year. Give him a little bit more time to feel like he can progress through his reads. So it'll be interesting to see, man.
And here's the real reason why I'm the most optimistic about it, guys. And I think this is the same for Brian Callahan. It's probably the reason why he took the job, like the biggest reason, if we're being honest. It is easy for a professional level quarterback, and I'm talking about backups, just 50, 60, 70 quarterbacks in the league, whatever you want to call it, right? It's easy for a professional level quarterback to operate an offense when timing is good, when protection is good, when the receivers are separating well and creating space, right? Basically every professional quarterback on the planet, Malik Willis, could get in rhythm if he had all those factors, right? But where you separate great quarterback play from just good quarterback play is when quarterbacks when your pocket breaks down, when your receivers have really tight coverage and they're not creating the type of separation they need. If you're getting hit, can you put a ball on a rope and deliver the ball into the absolute best spot where only the receiver can get it? Can you beat good coverage? Can you do really well when the pass rush is almost getting home? That's what Will was doing last year. Like the throws he was making where he's literally getting crushed on one side and he delivers a ball like a 15-yard out, a tight window out, close to the sideline and just puts it on a rope, right? Like Callahan saw that when he looked at the tape and he went, okay, this kid has that. I can help him with the easy stuff. And that's the stuff he's struggling with. So that's why I'm so optimistic, because I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think if it's just the easy stuff, like before things break down, if that's the hardest part for him, Callahan's going to help him slow the game down. And so that's why I'm so optimistic, because it's like Will was performing well when things were the hardest. So if in theory, the other 50% of the time, let's call it, where you do have a clean pocket and you do have a clean read, Will was getting, he was jumping the gun too fast because he's like, oh, I got to get the ball out. Boom. And he's got this lightning fast, release with this incredibly, powerful arm. And so if he can just dial that back a little bit and get good at understanding what he's looking at, post or pre-snap, and then also as the play is developing, then that's where, if he can shine there and improve, then we're going to see something special, boys. So yeah, I think that's kind of like the specifics of kind of how I see it.
If anything, it's going to look very new to all Titans fans. And what we're getting with Levis that we haven't had with Tannehill or Marcus, or really going back all the way to like Steve McNair, we haven't had a leader at the quarterback position, a leader of men. We lost that with Mike Vrabel. I think Levis might be filling that up. And we really saw that last season in the Miami game. He gets the team fired up. He's going to be that dude. But I was thinking about it with the departure of Henry, Taylor Lewan, Ben Jones, and then Kevin Byard in the recent years. Who do you think really just emerges as the leaders of this locker room going forward? Obviously, they've got a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, who was a leader in the past, and he will be, I'm sure, long into his Titans career future. But that's really it. That's the first one that stands out to me. Levis is in there. Who are just some of these other guys that you guys are excited to hear more about and get these guys fired up going into the season?
So I think there's different types of leaders, obviously. You got vocal leaders, and I think the leaders that we are going to name here are the vocal ones that we see. But we don't see the guys that are just, leading by example in the locker room, because you have a lot of those too. I mean, you got your Harold Landrys that are just going to come in every day, do the right thing, and work. You know what I mean? Just lead by example. Offensively, you got a guy like Hopkins that's going to come in, do what he needs to do every day, and work. You know what I mean? Those are the type of guys that are going to lead by example that are going to be leaders for this team that aren't necessarily going to get the limelight of your Jeffs and your Levises. But another person that I see that's going to be in that way is really L'Jarius Sneed too. Sneed's going to be another one of those guys that comes in, leads by example, comes with Super Bowl rings, is going to show that DB room, for one, what it takes day in and day out to be a successful room in this league. It's going to transition to the whole defense. He's going to have that quiet confidence. I hate to use the word aura. It's been so freaking played out by now. My gosh. But he's going to give that defense some like quiet confidence that they've been somewhat lacking over the past couple of years. Rightfully so. I mean, we ain't had much to be confident about. But it's going to be good mixed with Jeff's, I ain't going to say just loudness, but his vocalness, mixing with a guy like Sneed. That's a good balance to have defensively. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, Hopkins and Levis are going to be your obvious leaders, but I want to see Latham take that next step as well. He's going to be the guy in the offensive line room. I mean, I want him to be the guy leading this team out the tunnel, him and Jeff leading this team out the tunnel. That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? That's the type of guys, like we say, the Titans said it ad nauseum over the offseason, the guys getting off the bus. Latham's going to be one of the first guys to get off the bus. He's not necessarily, I don't think he'll be the most vocal guy among that offensive line. He might grow into that vocalness once he's around guys like Levis, guys like Simmons every day in practice. But he's going to be another one of those guys that leads by example, and that's just as valuable as the guys that are vocal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think all the players, I agree with you, especially with L'Jarius. I think we'll probably see the season start, and plays will develop. The personality of both sides of the ball will kind of develop, and we'll kind of learn more about it from there, right? So who knows? Like, T'Vondre Sweat, if he comes out and has a big start to his career, he's a pretty vocal guy. He could end up being vocal right along with Jeff, and it could be this powerhouse on the defensive line, which that would be exciting. And then you have a guy like Cedric Gray who's carving out a role for himself. Again, another rookie who has an opportunity to step up and be the guy. Or it could be Jack Gibbons. We could be surprised Gibbons could get more time, and he could end up just being the guy because of how intelligent he is. They've this coaching staff, much like the last, have shown a lot of support to how he's just commanded the defense. Callahan talked about it in one of his OTA pressers that he was really impressed with how Jack was leading the defense, how smart he was in meetings, and how he basically had the answers for everything. There wasn't a whole lot of teaching that this coaching staff needed to do for him. It was more, on the field reps and kind of getting him more acclimated to what an athlete needs to be at the NFL level. So, yeah, I mean, there's opportunity all over the team, and I'm really, I'm excited to see what happens with it because everyone's so young and the team is so different. But one thing that I think I would like to see, and this seems so petty, it's such a tiny thing, but for me, I think it matters. And I would love to see the captain's patches come back. I know it sounds like this is probably so insignificant, or like it doesn't even really matter. If you ask the players, they'd all probably go, it doesn't really matter. Like, we know who the leaders are in the locker room. But those patches, indicate more than just, hey, these are the guys who are our leaders. Like, those patches say something to the world. Like, we see them on Sundays, And so for me, obviously Levis should be the top guy. He should be the most vocal. He should be the leader of the team. And I think he will be. He's shown signs of that already. But I'm fine with having a mostly a large squad of people who are like, hey, let me just show you. Like, we'll get vocal if we need to, but let me just get to work. I'm fine with that. And I think that's probably what this team is mostly.
Speaking of captains, another leader on this team that goes under the radar a lot is Morgan Cox. I mean, that guy leads the special teams every single year. He's a captain, So I think that's a really good idea, Jonathan. I think they should bring back the captain's patches because it's sort of, when you have that captain's patch, it's a little bit of a burden of responsibility that you have in the fans' opinion, that they see every Sunday. You have that responsibility as a captain, whether it's explicit or non-explicit. You have it.
And
Morgan Cox would be that guy, and it matters. Morgan Cox probably be a captain. Simmons would be a captain. Levis would be a captain, and then I don't know. I don't think he'll be a captain.
I think probably. That's a good question.
I don't know.
But
I don't know who the fourth person to be.
I think
that's kind of why we're doing this.
Well, you have two. Is it 2 defense, 2 offense, 1 special teams, 5 captains? Is that right?
I couldn't tell you.
It all depends.
I couldn't tell you.
It's team specific.
Yeah, I think that's it. But regardless, another thing too, B Will, on the patch is that, it matters. Like, having that patch should matter to the players. If you ask them if it matters if they have them or not, they would probably say no. But if you are going to have them, I would say that it matters. Like, if your team chose you to be a captain, then that means that the team, your brothers in that locker room, have said, lead us into battle this season. And so for the players that are chosen to be captains, that matters. Like, that is going to elevate them. And I think on a team that is brand new, like, this is as big of a etch-a-sketch redo as we've seen with the franchise. And I think the players know that. They're clearly talking about it in that locker room. The expectation should be as high as any team, really. So yeah, I think having the patch at the very least should just add some continuity to the fan base and saying, okay, these are the people who are going to be the future of our, like B Well said, like, one of the best, examples that you've given is who's going to be on those banners on that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume and guess right now, right? But we don't know for sure. So
I think the captains will probably be Levis, Landry, who I hate to say it, Landry.
I think Landry's earned it
Cox,
just because he's been there the longest. That's what it is.
Cox, and I hate to say it, they'll probably give it to freaking Amani Hooker. I don't, they're already talking about the green dot and shit. It's going,
I think Molden flies under the radar as a quiet leader. Cushenberry would be a good one. I think Cushenberry would be good on the defense. I think Awuzie and Molden could both be flying under the radar, just because we've talked about this obnoxious communication. Those are both very cerebral players. So I think that's going to be something. You don't have to be loud about, like Cheeto Bay. Saying. Yeah. You just have to be a good. Cheeto's a very good one, and then Cedric Gray. I mean, it's been talked about even in his coming out process. Was dude's an asshole, but he expects you to play well, and he's going to get in your ass if you don't. So I think he's still becoming comfortable right now, and as he progresses through training camp, I still think probably week 1 he's going to be sharing those starting role with Jack Gibbons out there. I think he will move into that. I think OTAs have kind of talked him off as Gibbons is the starter as of right now. I don't think that's going to become the truth once pads come on. I think he is going to be that next level starter for us. And then on the offense, Spears is Levis's biggest cheerleader out there. He might not be, and maybe you don't want the cheerleader to be the leader of the team, but he's going to fire people up. And then Josh Wiley, Levis has talked about him as the juice guy. He's showing his Gronkisms out there. So I think that's something both on offense and defense. I think we're going to be at a good spot, and it's going to be a lot of young players, which we haven't seen in a very long time as these leaders. So that should set us up very well for the future as well. But that brings me into my next discussion and question for us. So I put it out on X and YouTube and just kind of did a quick little poll. Who at their respective position is better, Sneed or Simmons? So this is basically a 50-50 split of what on the socials I put it on. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on all this. B-Will, who do you think is better at their respective positions? And I worded that very carefully, not who is better.
So it's sort of, for me, I sort of think of it twofold, and maybe I'm going the wrong way with it, but I think Sneed is better at his position. I think he's also more valuable than Simmons at his position with what he can do. Sneed being able to lock up a number 1 receiver and eliminate a number 1 receiver every Sunday is invaluable to this defense. I mean, he really unlocks everything that Denard Wilson can do. I'll keep wanting to call Denard Wilson Denard Robinson, but he unlocks everything that Denard Wilson can do with this defense, and he elevates all the other players. But in the same token, Jeff does the same by creating pressure on the quarterback. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But if I were to rank Sneed, I would say Sneed is one of the best corners in the league. I can't say that Jeff is the best interior defensive lineman in the league. You just can't say that. You've got guys that are better than him. You got Chris Jones. You've got Hargraves is pretty damn good. You got the guy in Baltimore is pretty damn good, who a lot of people are low on, but I really like the guy in Baltimore, the one that just signed a deal. But you can in Metabuke. But you can say without a doubt, yeah, Sneed's the best corner in the league. You know, especially with what he's done and proven in crunch time. Sneed is proven to be one of the best corners in the league in crunch time. I mean, look at the play he made against Baltimore last year. Completely changed that game, completely changed the fate of the Chiefs. You know, if Baltimore scores there, that's a 14-point swing there. But Sneed being able to punch the ball out right there at the goal line was an immaculate play, man. I mean, I don't think Jeff can have that impact, but Sneed consistently does it. Look what he did against Miami, eliminating Tyreek Hill. You know, that's major stuff that Sneed does there. That I just think it's Sneed undoubtedly between him and Simmons. It's not a slouch on Simmons. That's just kudos to how great of a corner L'Jarius Sneed is in this league, man. And he can line up inside, outside, nickelback, outside. He can follow the guy. He's good in zone coverage, cerebral, smart, can blitz off the as a corner. I mean, he's an exceptional guy. He's good in run defense. The guy's an exceptional corner, man. I mean, he's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I was trying to go into this and be like, I'm going to go opposite of B-Will just to give us good content, like just have a debate. And I'm like, I can't. L'Jarius Sneed is absolutely the pick. And it's, to piggyback off of everything that B-Will said, because I agree with everything. But it's far easier to take Jeffrey Simmons out of the game than it is L'Jarius Sneed, right? And that is a benefit to not having to line up and beat man coverage every single time, like go through your opponent. But it's also a benefit to the offensive line where they get to double team Big Jeff if they need to, right? And a lot of the times he does get double teamed. And so if he's not getting double teamed, then somebody else or himself is getting home at the quarterback. So L'Jarius, in a worst case scenario, when they're trying to just get away from him, he's got to try to follow and track the top receiver. And obviously offenses can kind of scheme up certain things to kind of move them around and maybe try to take L'Jarius out of the game by not throwing at him. But I mean, yeah, he's a top corner in this league. A true shutdown corner is invaluable. You can't spend enough money. If the Titans spent $30 million on L'Jarius Sneed a year, I'd be like, okay, it tracks, makes sense, seems like a good investment. You know what I'm saying? Because we've not had that guy. So yeah, I strongly agree that it's L'Jarius Sneed for all the reasons that B-Will listed, but also because he is it's far harder to, I mean, the same thing happened for some of the best corners to ever play the game. Like they did the same thing to Champ Bailey. They tried to throw so many like really exotic looks where they're moving guys around, they're motioning defenders around and trying to go into these like zone beating situations just to try to take Champ away from just locking down one guy. And when you do that, you create opportunity for the rest of the defense to beat a certain matchup. So for me, yeah, I mean, it's L'Jarius Sneed far and away, and I would expect that the Titans should get, and this should mean that Big Jeff has an easier time and vice versa for L'Jarius, because if we're, because, I mean, we saw, I don't know what the percentages is. Maybe Stoney knows, maybe somebody in the chat knows, but the breakdown of what the Titans were running out of like base zone coverage, it had to have been at least 70-30 of like seeing zone coverage over man, right? And we might have ran like 15% man coverage. We ran a lot of quarters. Yeah. So my point here is that not only are we going to see man coverage from what Denard has said, and he's been beating that drum all offseason, we should see a majority of man coverage sets. And if that's what we're talking about, then if they, Big Jeff is going to have a lot more opportunity. The boys up front are going to have much better opportunity because the coverage on the back end should be solid. And not only should it be solid, but there should be some pressure, some certain sim pressures that we'll be able to see that should certainly make it easier for him too. So yeah, I think that that Jeff is the beneficiary of the L'Jarius Sneed trade. And that's because you can't really take him out of the game. The corners are the folks who take people out of the game. And if they try to get cute, which I'm sure most offenses will, you'll have to. You can't just line up against let L'Jarius take out your best player in every single game, because that's what he did last year. Proof is in the pudding. So yeah, it's L'Jarius.
We ran cover one. This is up until December of this past season. So like Christmas time, we had ran 23% cover one. 4% cover zero, and 1% cover 2 man. So really around 25% of the time we ran man, and then the other 25% we were in quarters, and then cover 3 and cover 2 other than that.
I will say with what the Titans ran last season, just kind of looking back at it, a lot of the times they did have these split man and zone concepts. So I would be interested in seeing what that overlaps with that as well. But we're running a lot more man this coverage. Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be a lot more man this season, regardless. It's going to be incrementally higher, and that's what we're kind of talking about here. And when I set this up, I was like, man, somebody's going to take Simmons. We're going to have this great discussion. We're all three in agreement here. I'm going Sneed as well. What it really just boils down to is when I'm pulling Jeffrey Simmons off the field and we're replacing with a Tavondre Sweat or Sebastian Joseph Day or Keandre Colburn, whoever it might be, I think the difference between that and pulling L'Jarius Sneed off for a Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Gabriel Judy Lawley, Trey Avery, Eric Garrett, whoever it's going to be. If I'm the offense, I'm going to whoever who's coming on the field at cornerback, and I'm targeting them early. And then with Simmons, Simmons is a great player, and I think he might be – I would disagree. Maybe he might be more important for this team and just what overall he brings for us. But L'Jarius Sneed – yes, exactly. But L'Jarius Sneed – at his position, I think he might – you could argue he's the best corner in the entire fucking league. Jeffrey Simmons, like you alluded to, I don't think I could say he's number one. He's damn close, and he's a lot higher than – top 5, and he's a lot higher than what we talked about him a couple – yeah. We talked about the PFF rankings. I forget where they had him, like 8 or something like that.
Like
it's
7,
disrespectable. Yeah, it's disrespectful. He's a lot higher than that. And regardless, these are the 2 best players, maybe not just on defense, but this entire team. So that's kind of why we're having this discussion. But we saw Sneed across the board.
The weird thing is that Sneed, we're all in agreement about Sneed being, a better corner, better at his position than Simmons. But if you look at what offensive coordinators and, offensive head coaches are probably the first person they're going to look at when they open the tape, their eyes are probably going to go to Jeffrey Simmons. They're going to have to game plan around Simmons just as much as they do Sneed. This isn't a slight on Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is a dog. You know what I mean? He's a game wrecker. It just so happens we have 2 game wreckers now. So it's a good problem to have, and it's a good discussion to have. Defensively, I mean, we're going to be decent defensively. I think we'll be pretty damn decent.
This is a better defense than it was last year.
100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is the best defense we've had in years.
And so if that's the case, then how do we keep finding ourselves at picking first overall next year? That's another debate for another show, Jake. But yeah,
we'll talk about that. We'll get into that. We got lots of time. We got a month before training camp, so we're going to be diving down into the wells for content. But I think that's a good point. We're going to move on to our draft. And if you guys are checking us out, we got a couple hundred of y'all in the chat. We appreciate all of y'all. Come join Cohen and Sobros Network, Stoney Keeley in the chat. Join us over on YouTube. Type in Glory Day Sports. Hop into the live chat. Join the conversation. But we end each show with a draft. And today's draft is one that we haven't done in the past. It's a battle royale. And you could say this is till we unalive each other. So we're going sporting goods store. So your local academy, your local Dick's Sporting Goods. We're finding weapons out there. We're finding protection. We could go a bunch of different ways with this. And to start it out, we're going to go snake draft style. B. Will has the first pick. Jonathan has the second. I'll be on the turn. We're going 4 rounds through. So drop in the comments what you would pick. What is the 101 for you? So, B. Will, let's have you kick it off. Where are we going with the first pick?
So this is for survival, like apocalypse style, right?
You go apocalypse style.
Or is it gladiator style?
Yeah, gladiator style or apocalypse style?
It matters.
Let's say this is gladiator style. We're dropped off in a coliseum, and this is going to the death.
Gotcha.
Wow.
You could say we're fighting in the actual store itself. I think that changes it as well.
Oh, well, I think that changed my answer then. I'm going to take that Anthony Richardson 15. I'm going to buy that. And that's what I'm going to get. I was going to say, well, I don't know if we want to say that.
Why did it take so long for me to recognize what you said?
Can I say that? Can I use it as a pick? I don't know if we want to put that in the
I feel like if you get to take that, then all bets are off. Like nothing I can draft is going to save me from.
Yeah, I think that's unfair.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's unfair.
Pew,
No
pew,
Anthony
pop.
Richardson.
No
15.
G words.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take a crossbow then. I'll take a crossbow and that'll be
sure.
my 1-on-1. I mean, you can't beat a good crossbow. It's just as good as an Anthony Richardson 15 and some days, depending on how good you are with it.
That's true.
You know.
And
So I'm gonna take a crossbow. Yeah, I'm gonna take a crossbow and you be silent too.
Yeah. You
That's
got
fact.
Daryl Dixon out here.
Oh man, the second pick is tough because there's like 2 items. One I think can slide to me in the next round though. So I'm gonna go with the classic baseball bat, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the baseball bat.
Wood,
Definitely
metal.
on my list.
Wood or metal for sure.
I was about to say, I was like, you're going
I'm a
wood
menace.
over metal? No.
I think wood would be better.
I don't think so.
You wrap
when
it
it
in barbed
breaks,
wire. We're going to walk
you get
down
two.
here.
You get two different things if it breaks. It
I don't want
sharpens up.
I don't want it to break. I want it to break the thing I'm hitting.
Yeah. I want that ding.
That metal a dent, man. That ain't no good. I'll take a wood bat over a metal bat.
I'd end up with an aluminum bat, brother. I'd be like, no.
Yeah. I'm going metal 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that brings it to me. I'm on the turn. So I'm thinking I got to have range, but I also got to keep you guys from getting up close. And then you can go protection as well. And I think that might be kind of a tier list. But if I'm thinking range, I'm going to the Olympics. I'm thinking track and field. I'm taking a javelin with the 101 or with my first round pick. That's just
not bad.
That was on there for me.
That I mean, just watching them throw those things, it still puts fear in. Even watching it on a screen, I'm like, somebody's going to get punctured with one of those. So I think that's keeping you off. That's keeping you off.
Yeah.
If you're closing in, I don't know. I got a lot of close.
Jake, you're hitting one of these, and then B Will's just going to piece you right in the chest.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go protection here, and I'm going padding. And I think most would allude to with our show, we're going football pads. I'm going hockey shoulder pads just because there's more coverage. It's softer. I think I can be a little bit more dynamic with them. So I'm going, and this, I like Stoney's comment in the chat, but I'm going with some hockey pads with my second pick. So I got some range, I got some protection. And then Jonathan, we're coming back to you with your second pick.
I'm so glad that you went hockey pads because I get my protective piece as well. I'm gonna go with the umpire vest.
Okay, I didn't think about that, but that's a good one too.
That ain't bad.
Big one. So at least I got a shot at living against this crossbow. You know, like at least I got a shot. Umpire vest.
Not bad.
Well, we're going back to you, B. Will. You got the turn. You got 2 picks here. So Rose or Stoney says, I'm taking the camouflage thing that looks like a bush. He's getting the ghillie suit so he can hide the whole time. He's just waiting.
I'm gonna take one of those ATVs that they have over there. You know, in the hunting section.
I thought about it.
Wow.
Look at Jake's like
that
shit.
Even on my
Jonathan's
list.
like shit, man.
Wasn't even on my list. Holy cow.
Yeah, I got the crossbow and the
mobile.
ATV. So I'm gonna be doing drive-bys in the Gladiator.
Yeah. How do you can't do both at the same time? He has to park.
Yeah, he's one shot and he's out. He reloads from afar. He comes back in and he shoots back out.
Imagine
guerrilla tactics.
Katniss Everdeen. Katniss Everdeen if she had an ATV. Just
so I'm gonna have I'll have the ATV and then I get another pick, don't I?
Yeah.
Yep.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say Kevlar, but I'm not gonna do that. What the? Hold on. Give me a second. Give me the let me make a phone call real quick.
B. Will is phoning a friend.
I didn't know that was an option. I'm calling my wife.
Yeah.
Hopefully it comes back to me. I'm gonna take a Kevlar vest. That's what I'm gonna take. You already got umpire.
Do they sell those?
We're in Tennessee and Oklahoma. I'm damn sure.
They sell them.
Pretty sure
they've got crazy shit at the Tennessee Dick's Sporting Goods. Any Dick's Sporting Goods in Tennessee, especially the one in Nashville, the big boy one. Oh my gosh, they got a ton of shit.
No shot, brother. I'm on the Dick's Sporting Goods website right now. There's no Kevlar vest.
Not Kevlar. Not. Oh fuck! I don't know.
You could have a floaty, like a keep you out of the water.
What about
vest.
one of those? We have these weight vests for CrossFit. Basically, it looks like a Kevlar vest. It just has
It does have thick
smaller piece. It has.
No!
It still has metal in it.
No, take the vest out. Give me a barbell. That's what I want.
Barbell.
A 45-pound barbell. That's what I want. Trying to hit somebody with that. You know how long that thing is? Can you imagine swinging that?
It's also 45 pounds. I mean, that's heavy.
It's
I
heavy.
could give you a smaller one, but yeah. I mean, that's a
Give me the women's bar.
Steroids. Yeah, give
me the women's bar. 35
bar.
pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of the whole time. So yeah, give me a women's barbell.
He's just got that on the back of his ATV.
Yeah.
He's coming at you like he's jousting you like it's like medieval times. He's gonna have it lined up there on the handle.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
All right,
That's
Jonathan,
hilarious.
back to you with your third pick. Yeah.
So with this one, I think I'm going to take a metal spike, like a camping spike or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Metal
I had
spike.
hiking trek poles on my board, which just had that little spear at the top. But yeah, I got you.
I don't even know what you're talking about. The
Like
hiking.
They're like the hiking, like you hold them like this. Have you ever seen people like if
They
you're
look like a
hiking at
walking
certain
stick.
angle?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just allows you to grab the ground and kind of.
But they have a point at the end that's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not in my things of doing.
I've only hiked a few times. It's not fun, but,
it is a very white accessory.
That's what I was about to say. That's not I don't even know about no shit like that.
Yesterday, I saw a video yesterday of it was like when white people go hiking versus black people. It was literally that, and it was a white guy passing you, and he's going, "Oh," and then he's like, "It's hot out here. It looks like rain." And there's black people. There was nobody, and it was like a stone rolling down the hill. So
I'm like, what the fuck? Is that a snake? I'm going away.
Yeah,
No,
I'm going inside.
All right. Well, that brings it back to me. What did I go with? Javelin and hockey pads. So, and I guess this wraps up for mine. I've got a lot left on my board, but I think I gotta have something close range. And there's really two that I like here. But I'm going to go with a machete. Machete is just... Machete could have been the 101.
Dick's?
100%.
I'm pretty sure they do, yeah.
I actually looked it up on the website. It was there.
Dang, that is a great pick.
There's a lot of other ones
Damn, you're
in
right.
that category. But I'm going with machete with the first one. Which
they got some impressive ones, too.
They do. They got some
They got the extendo clip.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going that way, man. And then from there, I'm going with the fun pick. I think the smart one would get more protection, but I want to be mobile like B will. Going with some roller skates. Going roller skates. We're having fun out there, guys.
Roller skates will work.
Man, that's a good one.
Going roller skates, my machete, my javelin might be a little bit hard to throw at that on wheels, but I got some hockey pads too, so I got some protection. So that wraps up my draft. Jonathan, you have your last pick.
Man, I have two picks that I can go here. I think I'm gonna go. I need some range. The fun pick would be to take a hammer and weight throw, which would be like the Olympic, hammer and weight situation. The smarter pick would probably just be a throwing knife, but I already have a spike. So I'm going to go with the hammer and weight throw, baby. I'm going to be, one bat in one hand, swinging that hammer and weight, trying to create some distance. Hammer and weight throw.
I don't mind that at all. All right, B. Will, you have your last pick to wrap up the entire draft.
Oh, shoot. What am I going to do here? I think I'm going to go. I already got a barbell. I got an ATV. I got a crossbow. I think I'm going to go with...
Need some protection, eh?
No, it's all offense here. The ATV is the protection.
Yeah, I guess
I don't
you're
even
right.
know.
You can get behind it.
I don't even know what I can get. I guess I'll be in style. Let me get some Carhartt overalls. I'm gonna be
Okay.
nice. I'm looking good. You look good. You play good.
Bro, a clothing item.
He's going. Hey, look good, feel good. I don't mind that at all. Man,
Mr.
that's the
Relevant in
flyer.
this draft was overalls.
this has been
Hey, don't hate it, man.
one of the most
It's a style
interesting
pick.
drafts we've had.
Style
Do you guys
pick.
have any picks that just escaped your board that you wanted to take? I know I got a couple. Jonathan, you have any?
Golf club seemed like
I had golf
Yeah.
club very high. If somebody
golf club
took the
seemed
javelin,
smart.
I was going golf club. Don't forget
Y'all pulled a
beef
David
jerky.
Stern on me. Yeah, y'all definitely pulled a David Stern, Chris Paul thing with me with the Anthony Richardson 15. I'm not happy about that. I'll tell you that.
The draft would have just been
Swindled out of the
over.
first pick.
Yeah, draft would have been over.
I had a hatchet. Hatchet would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Just knife. Just regular
I had
knife.
Gatorade on mine.
I mean, that's same boat as beef jerky.
Like the Gatorade juice.
I thought football pads was gonna go. I thought about for range like a 5-pound dumbbell, something that was
Yeah, I
light
thought
that I
about
could just
dumbbells,
use.
too.
I had kettlebell on mine.
Yeah,
You almost like kind of
Kettlebell
probably
would be
a
alright.
better pick than the hammer and weight, to be honest. But I needed range.
I think the smarter pick would have been for me, other than roller skates, would have been maybe like a football helmet, some more protection, or
I
even
almost
like
took a football helmet. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I thought about bike too, but bike is boring. Bike would have probably
Yeah.
been the more mobile
you don't wanna
version
cycle.
of the roller skates. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
you would have
I think
gotten
that-
beaten, and then they would have deboed you.
exactly. Give me that chain. But that wraps it up, guys. I hope everybody in the comments enjoyed it. We'll be here same time, same place next week, every Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We appreciate you guys. We love you. We'll see you guys next week. Tighten up. We mean it. Love you. Peace.